Our project and research centered on observation. We then had to learn various methods of observation, so we then looked through articles about Sherlock Holmes. For background information on Sherlock Holmes, we visited multiple articles on the subject and reflected upon it. These are the main sites we looked through.
Sherlock Holmes is merely a fictional character with an amazing sense of deduction and observation. With this, just as an article, we're connecting and identifying interesting and specific aspects in how Holmes thinks.
People have always wanted to think like Sherlock Holmes. His mind pays attention to very small details, mostly details that require smart thinking and detailed observations.
Sherlock Holmes thinks differently than others. He can solve about anything with the slightest clue. At least to us, it looks like a small clue. He can see clues we may not see. He can find out a password by looking at a family photo album. Maybe we can think like Sherlock Holmes if we really put the time into it. Small problems can't even interest Holmes. You can convince him to help you with your situation. An interesting mind.
Each of the articles had something in common. They each discuss or reference the mental structure or thought process of the detective Sherlock Holmes. Close attention to detail helps and improves in every subject in school, from math to literature. For instance, even looking through a simple problem in math can help improve knowledge of what is needed and why. Each of us have our style and way of attention to detail. We just need to learn how to improve and harness it. But before any of this background information on Sherlock Holmes, we have to be keen to detail in our observation and attention to detail through a small assignment. We need to draw our own versions of leaves just from our imagination. These drawings are just some results by the people in our group. After that, we need to research and study leaves. So we went to Discovery Education and looked for articles and videos on leaves. We went on and found sources like this.
Leaves are organs of vascular plants that are specialized for carrying out photosynthesis, the critical process whereby sunlight is used to create essential energy-rich nutrients. Leaves typically are flat, thin, translucent structures, an arrangement that allows the maximum amount of light to reach the interior cells where photosynthesis takes place. Leaves also play a critical role in regulating the exchange of carbon dioxide, oxygen, and water vapor between plants and our atmosphere.
There, we observed, recorded, and drew our findings of various leaves. We used jeweler's loupes, a tool that magnifies and helped us observe and look more deeply into leaves. Just as Sherlock Holmes had to pay attention to detail, we as well need to pay attention to small details and point them out and list them in our observation. Mindfulness allows Holmes to observe those details that most of us don't even realize we don't see. It's not just the steps, it's the facial expressions, the sartorial detail. Maria Konnikova, do you think like Sherlock Holmes' article?
We compared and considered how 3D objects compare to real-life situations. It can give more detail and helpful information. So we then went on to programs like Corinth Microplant and Corinth Classroom B. This program goes more into detail into a leaf, and it's structured through a generated simulation. Without Corinth's detail and information, we would have missed crucial information simple as the basic structure of a leaf. Our observation in a subjective form was very personal and sometimes connected with our past experiences, and the research showed more emotions and feelings throughout the process. Contrasting to objective, we literally just showed and gave information directly what the leaf looked like and even the small details. We went on as a group and made a poem on what the details of a leaf looked like metaphorically and in simile form. This here is our created poem. My love, the leaf.
Whoa, those sharp edges. I can feel the sharpness, not really. What a green little fellow with such gleeful edges.
Patterns go curved, left, right. This leaf is the best to look at night, with its stem glowing right and many ridges in light.
Nature's beautiful weave. This is a leaf you want to leave alone.
A beautiful leaf to see only with a jeweler's loupe, and the rest in the garden I see only animal poop.
With many leaves with the roots, and they're like
Many brothers and sisters that only have one root. If anyone steals my leaf, they would be an evil thief, and I'd beat the leaf out of them.
because I love this leaf.
The end.
This leaf reminds me of a caterpillar, and its legs moving to and fro more and more, and as if its legs curl up and down.
Other leaves sprinkle back and forth. It looks like a snow cone with layer after layer of ice, intending to entice. As well as the ridges looking like waterfalls, as if the water was coming down into a ball.
When other ends of leaves seem to be deserts going on until it stops. This continues more creative and even more native.
With the detail and knowledge of observation from the previous article, we were able to look more deeply into the small and unnoticed features of every leaf, and eventually helping us as a group make a short poem about them. Just as the Little Prince looks deeper into life, we as well need to look for something deeper in everything we do. The judge should not be young. He should have learned to know evil, not from his own soul, but from late and long observation of the nature of evil in others. Knowledge should be his guide, not personal experience. From our own observations, we must know moral, right from wrong. Experiences and observation offers us new and impacting knowledge. After deep observation throughout the process of drawing various leaves, we saw more detail and eventually came up with many types of leaf sketches, such as these. These are the new revised sketches that were made by using the given jeweler's loupe. We all saw more detail in each leaf and seeing different layers.
Like Jack Stapleton in Hound of the Baskervilles, he was like Holmes. He observed nature and comparing to that how he as well studied and researched.
This community eclipse goes through the collaborative research and data that our group began to gather. We began noticing patterns in how detailed our explanations were, and they each had more meaning and stood out more. We then came up with the idea of with more detail and patterns, we then remembered that we can eventually find clues and then on solve any question or situation that may come our way. After finishing up with our sketches, we saw a bigger improvement in how they looked. Comparing the 2 times we sketched leaves, the first time didn't have as much depth or understanding of what a leaf could have been in a metaphorical or simile form. And comparing to the second time we sketched, we had more insight and wisdom while using and drawing with the jeweler's loupes. With the idea and help of objective and subjective thinking, our group saw a bigger perspective on how basic situations could be thought and translated into any other situations. This means that we can connect and relate one section of learning to another as well with other people. With the technological tools we have today, we are able to connect with anybody across the world. From teaching to younger children across the country to connecting and researching with other educators from the next continent, and as well sharing fun and amazing experiences. Why not use the tools we have and make a positive impact on every person we know, even to those who are strangers? Like the stem of a leaf, we must branch out, growing a larger and better community, improving education, health, communications, and so many more.